Episode 183 of the Wilderness Podcast is brought to you by our supporters. If you want to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/thewilderness podcast to do that. So thank you to Juicy PTW and our top tier supporters, Gentinu, Spleemo, Dreadful Monkeys, Mateoas, Szechuan, Mallard, Twisted Soul, Hoyt, and super duper shout out to Strosity, which is weird. He's guest co-hosting this week. Spoiler alert, I know, sorry. But if you don't want to do Patreon, maybe you still want to support the show, one of the ways you can do that is by going to buymeacoffee.com/dills. So thank you to Caradoc, Issacol World, 2JZ Soup, and Forced Murder for keeping me caffeinated this week. Appreciate you guys. All right, let's get into it. Welcome to episode 183 of the Wilderness Podcast. I am your host, Dills, and joining with me today is guest co-host Strosity. How's it going, dude?
Hey, pretty good. How are you?
You were on, has it been exactly 30 episodes since your premiere?
Yeah, I am known as the best co-host to ever come onto this podcast and recap the month of March.
Oh, yeah, that was...
No one can take that title from me unless we take another break.
Yeah, what a strange time that was. March 2020 is like going to be one of the weirdest months we've ever encountered when it was COVID.
Yeah, I was just starting up then.
I feel like when we did our last recording, we started off talking about COVID, but I was thinking about this a lot recently because I wasn't really playing that much when COVID first struck. Man, I feel like were you playing a lot when COVID first kicked into gear?
I think I was actually just like starting to get really, really into the game because I used to play just casually, just leveling up my skills, but now I'm starting to like actually get into the main content of the game.
Yeah, the meat of things. Yeah, it's like an iceberg, but I had slowed down when the pandemic hit because I was like trying to focus on quote unquote my career, like the next steps in my career path. And but I like look back, I'm like, man, I feel like I missed out a bunch because when COVID hit, everyone, work shut down for most people and everybody went online. RuneScape numbers had shot up higher than ever. And talking to people and like the clan chat and stuff, they're all saying like, man, we miss when like COVID first was in gear because every night it was popping off. People were like all doing group content. They had nothing else to do.
Right. And the worst part too, though, is that, well, the bad part rather, is that the prices of everything started to go up above the normal market value. So that made this crash that we're in that much worse.
But anyways, that was a hectic time, but we are still in a hectic time. We had the summer summit happen, about a few weeks ago. And with that, we got a whole whack of proposed updates. And we're going to be talking about some of that on this episode here. But we're going to kick off the first dev blog here that they are featuring is the client features milestones number 2.
I can't wait till they're done with this.
It's kind of exciting.
Especially when it's on mobile. That's going to be huge.
That's the big one. So anyone who uses RuneLite, if you exclusively play on RuneLite, you're going to be like, okay, what's the big deal? What they're doing is they're bringing some of the features that we use on RuneLite and bringing it into the main game. And they're testing it on Steam right now. But as you mentioned, I think the big thing for, at least for me, and I think many people, is like this will be on mobile. And if anyone who does any like maybe end game content on mobile knows that it's hard, it's like
right,
kind of clunky.
Even once they have loot beams and like ground items, that'll be really nice too.
True.
Just AFKing Slayer on mobile will be nice when you don't have to search for the drop.
Yeah, that's right.
Sometimes I'm killing lizardmen. Lizardmen are a fantastic AFK task because you could just go in with an antidote and you could just AFK and you keep getting attacked and they do almost no damage. But they'll drop like Snapdragon seeds and Raynar seeds. And if you're on mobile, good luck finding them unless you're like paying attention.
Honestly, now that you mention that, will probably be one of the biggest ones is actually having loot items. And I mean, loot beams will be fun too, just to kind of spice that up. So anyways, they released kind of their first chunk of it onto the Steam client, which is their beta testing, which is what they were beta testing these with. And this episode, we're going to be talking about their second milestone of client features they'll be bringing out. But of course, the big one from RuneFest, the Tombs of a Mascot. It's the third iteration of raids coming out. A lot of people are pretty hyped, and they teased some of the items, and I was quite surprised, but they already have all these items, the concepts of them kind of fleshed out, and they are pitching it to the community. So there's a dev blog outlining all of these items, as well as like all the rewards that will be coming from Raid 3, or at least all the equipment rewards. And on top of that, they release some beta worlds, so you can actually go out and test them. Which is, it all seems moving pretty quickly to me. How do you feel about all this?
Yeah, I'm surprised they got a beta world for it already. Or for someone who may not even care about testing these, if you need to like get your fight caves, fire cape, and you're worried about it, or maybe even a boss you want to try, this is the time that now that there's a beta.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, they have the Inferno open in the beta worlds as well, which is I think that's a first.
That's new. They're usually scared to do that.
Yeah, I guess they're like, you know what? Everyone's just buying their Infernos at this point. Let's just let them
All right,
practice.
like the market's fully crashed. We don't have to worry about people not chugging an extra like 20 Sarah brews in their test runs.
But on top of that, we get a few other minor changes as well as some additions to the combat task diary. But Strosity, what are you doing in game right now?
I've kind of stopped playing my main account finally. Everyone starts an Iron Man. They get to like 1,500 total, and they're like, "I'm over the main account." It took me to like 1950 until I was done.
A big deterrent for me with my Iron Man, I've heard other people about this, is the resource grind. Is that something that kind of kept you from committing?
Not really. I just liked my main account a lot. I had a big
Fair.
attachment to it, and it's somewhat close to max too. I'm at 22, I think,
Oh,
for
so
my
that's
total level.
what, 55 more levels?
Yep.
That sounds like a lot. It sounds like it's a lot, but also not a lot at the same time.
Yeah, I pretty much finished all of my AFK skills, so now I just have to like actually play the game. But now that I'm on my Iron Man, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just mining shooting stars for my mining XP because that's great on the main account. It's one click and it's close to Motherload mine XP rates. And if you like AFK a lot on Motherload mine, like you just stop mining for like 20 seconds at a time, shooting stars is way better. And you can scout for yourself and easily find. You just got like 10 worlds. And if you pick very randomly, then you always have a world till the next cycle. And what's also great is when you're 2,200 total level, those worlds are so bad that because of how laggy they are, they're
Mhm.
always like 45 minutes off cycle. So,
Oh.
so you have like an extra couple worlds to go to when you're like halfway through a star cycle, and each cycle is like 2 hours roughly.
And you're doing the stars purely for the experience? Is that what you said?
Pretty much, yeah. I'm up to 72,000 Stardust.
Damn.
Yeah.
I always wish that they would bring out some new rewards, because I feel like the rewards we currently have are just like, you're over the grind so quickly.
You're just done with it.
Yeah.
I heard that they were thinking of having Stardust be a requirement for the new Amethyst spot that they were talking about, but I think I also heard that they got rid of that requirement.
Yeah, there's a bit of an uproar from the community because they said, like, why can't you just release it with the Falador diaries? That makes more sense, instead of arbitrarily linking it to shooting Stardust.
Right. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember seeing that blog. I don't see why they couldn't just do both, but I think a lot of people are scared to go mining stars. It's too new. It's too RS3.
And I think it's a bit of like down the road. I find this a lot with the game. Like, there's a lot of things that you need to do to unlock certain things, and it doesn't quite make sense. It's not like intuitive. You wouldn't know right away unless you go to the wiki. I feel like shooting Stardust would be kind of similar, even though it's like kind of linked to the mining skill. It's I don't know. It is a little bit weird, but I don't know. At the same time, they do need to bring out some. I think they need to bring out some new rewards, because the recolor prospector is like, it's not that. It's okay. Yeah, it's okay.
It's not that special. Once you recolor your helmet, you're all disappointed because it's a slightly different tint of yellow.
Yeah, I couldn't even tell from the wiki when I looked on it. I was like, am I even gonna do this? Is there any point?
Yeah, unless you have like thousands of Stardust, there's not that much of a point.
Yeah, exactly.
For my Iron Man, I've been grinding away. One of my top things I was trying to go for is 82 Herblore, because you can boost to 87 with a stew, and then you get your ornate pool because you need 87 Herblore for your anti-venoms. Yeah. So before I was just using like the locator orb from Dragon Slayer 2 and a flame pit in my basement. I would just go there and reset my health. And that's still good for getting rid of your skull, actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you can go die there with your skull. But yeah, now I got the pool, so no need.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
big one when you get that pool.
yeah, because I've had the requirement construction wise for a while, but I'm so behind on Herbal. I finally started doing the miscellanea kingdom. I finally started doing
Mm,
kingdom, and man, I've been missing out. I knew I was, but I didn't know. I knew, but I didn't know because like I never really done it before. But starting to regret not having done it earlier. But it's AFK Herb XP, so whatever. Can't complain.
fair enough. Fair enough.
Got plenty of GP coming in from the corrupted gauntlet right now. I started that grind pretty recently.
Oh, how, are you enjoying that?
I'm kind of enjoying it. I got pretty good at it and then I got worse. So now I'm like struggling through my kills.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned it. I feel like I'm going through the same, I guess, realization because I think like I don't know, a while ago, a long while ago, maybe even about a year ago, I was trying to get good at the corrupted gauntlet because I can do the regular gauntlet decently enough, not perfectly, but I can do it. So I figured I'd move over to the corrupted gauntlet, and I mentioned way back on like sixth kill count, I got the Blade of Saildor, which was super sick.
Oh man. And now it's like double the price now too.
Oh yeah, but I kind of just never went back. But I also never entirely. I can complete Corrupted Gauntlet, but I was not good at it, so I would still die a big chunk of the time. But after I got the Blade of Saildor, I was like, I'm kind of like brush my hands off. I'm like, I'm all done. I'm gonna leave the Corrupted Gauntlet for now. But
Man, that's insane. Iron Men are jealous. I'm jealous.
yeah, but now I gotta get two of them right for the bow. But I was doing a bit of Fasani's Nightmare this weekend because I wanted some hard
Ooh.
content to do. Just because with the new raids coming out, I was like, I need to get good. And I've been really
Right.
spoiler alert. I'm really struggling with Fasani's Nightmare. It's tough. I got like 30 deaths, and I'm just like, I'm making progress. But I was like, you know what? I think I need to do some gear upgrades before I go back. So I went to Corrupted Gauntlet, and I did a few rounds, and I was like, I've forgot. Like I'm terrible again. It's basically as if I've never got a kill in the first place. I'm struggling.
Yeah, I got bad after 2 days. I'm not surprised.
It's tough, especially when you take like a
Yeah.
big break and you never really perfected it in the first place, which is my
Yep.
problem.
Right.
So now the thing that I like about the combat tasks is that I'm like, you know what? I actually have an excuse to go grind regular gauntlet 100 times and complete a bunch of the other stuff. So I've been really working on that. You have to do the regular gauntlet 100 times if you want to get that task.
I did not realize that.
So for me, I'm like, okay, for some reason I feel weird doing Gauntlet after knowing that I could possibly do Corrupted Gauntlet.
Right. But you can always try speedrunning it.
That's the thing now with these combat tasks. You're having to do all these weird tricks.
Right. You kind of have to anyway. But yeah, I found with regular Gauntlet. Well, first off, with regular Gauntlet, you start playing that. It seems like it's really hard. It's a big struggle. But then you learn Corrupted Gauntlet a little bit, and then you take a step back to regular. It is such a breeze.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Nightmare's the same way.
You're right. My last Gauntlet that I ran, I just ran no armor, one tier 3, and just a tier 2, and
Oh,
it was cake.
wow.
And yeah, with no armor, he still hits like 13. I accidentally went no armor in a corrupted, and I think the max hits like 15 or 16, so it matters way more.
Mm.
But on the regular gauntlet, he hits 15, he hits 13 still, and you could just like 5-1 it. Have you ever tried 5-1ing before?
No. What is 5-1ing? I hear that term a lot, and I was like thinking about this last night. Actually, I was like, I don't even 100% know what the 5-1 mean. Is that just like tick ratio?
It's not as complicated as most like ratio things. 5-1 in this case means that when you attack the gauntlet, after you hit it 6 times on something that it's not protecting you from, then it will change its prayer. So say you have
Right.
like a tier 3 halberd and you hit it 5 times, you'd switch over to mage and hit it once. Well, typically you might have like a staff and a bow. And on my Iron Man, it's worth it to use the staff over the bow because the staff is a little worse than the bow with rigor, and I don't have rigor. So I
Mm.
would be using the staff, and then I can sometimes, if in the start he's protecting melee, I'd switch to my bow and hit him on the 6 hit, so I can go back to the staff, or I can unequip my staff and punch him, and then he'll protect melee, and then you could use the staff some more and get that higher DPS. So then, like, if you're speed running, you can only get one tier 3 weapon and use that, and then just have like a tier 2 of the other weapon. And you just save that time on finding and killing another demi boss. It's worth it for speed runs, but like, I'll do 5-1 at the start of a gauntlet fight. But if you try to do it the whole fight and you're not that good, you're gonna get wrecked trying to like do these little changes. But something I'll also do is just count in my head my 6 attacks and try to get a feel for the gauntlet's 4 attacks for
Mm.
when I have to switch. And I won't count the gauntlet when it's hitting me, just because I can kind of understand the timing a little better. And it's kind of teaching myself to just kind of get the feeling instead of trying to like analyze every single thing. And I think it'll just make it easier in the long run.
It's like syncing up your internal clock with
Exactly.
your RuneScape internal clock. Yeah.
Yeah, as
Okay.
long as you don't get stomped on and count that as a hit, because those don't count as hits. All the
True.
other
Yeah.
special attacks do. But
Interesting.
anyway, I'm sure a lot of people who don't know the gauntlet don't know what I'm talking about and don't care.
It's a tricky piece of content, but the cool thing is that you go in naked. You have to make all your weapons and armor and food yourself.
It's insane for rebuilds.
Yeah, exactly. It's great because it's just the stats that matter. So if you've got high stats, it doesn't matter how much money you have. You don't get it to bring any of that into the gauntlet. So that's what's cool about it.
Hell yeah. What have you been up to?
Oh man, well, I mentioned with Fasani's Nightmare trying to learn that it's not going too well, but I had TK in the Discord. I think I asked last episode if you have a mobile boss that you like to do. I don't know which ones you like to do, but I do like Zulrah, try and Vorkath, maybe some Mole, but for the most part it's just Zulrah. It's pretty chill with the T-bow. And he had recommended going to the Sarah boss because you can kind of, with the T-bow you can kind of kite it around.
Oh yeah, that wouldn't be too bad.
No, it's not too bad. Generally, it's okay, but the problem I have is that when you misclick, your dude's running into the center of the room and you're going to tank a whole lot of damage. And with mobile, it is so easy to misclick, your inventory or misclick and then accidentally hit the map or something.
Yeah, it's like one of those things it's more pleasant to do on PC.
Yeah.
So it's like you could do it on mobile, but you kind of don't want to.
Yeah, it is tricky. But yeah, that's where my old school gains are at. It's trying to learn Fasani's, going back to some Gauntlet, doing some of the tasks there, and then I'll probably move towards Corrupted. Just trying to get good at this goddamn game so that when
Right.
Raids 3 comes out, we're ready to rock and roll.
Very nice.
So that is the plan there. So, yeah, anyways, we got a whole lot of stuff to talk about. So why don't we say we hop right into the updates this week?
All right, sounds good.
All right. So first thing we'll talk about is the client milestones, new feature milestones. So again, these are all going to be introduced into the Steam client. So if you're wanting to try them out, check it out on Steam. And the client is really smooth, and I know eventually they're hoping to bring the Steam client as the vanilla client itself. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to that because it is pretty damn smooth. So first thing they are introducing, what is this? It looks like, first thing is the agility helpers. So it will make running rooftops and doing your courses a little bit easier. It'll have a green highlight of where you're supposed to click. It's kind of like what we see in RuneLite itself. It is not the most pleasant to look at, I find. It's a little bit immersion breaking, but
yeah, definitely.
We use it on RuneLite. If we're doing agility, you'll have this turned on. So it is nice, and of course you can turn it off if you don't like it. Next, they are going to be increasing the draw distance.
About time.
Yeah, I can't quite remember a time when this was the case, but yeah, we had a limited draw distance, very limited, and then I guess the clients came out allowing you to kind of see farther.
I never felt this bad. Never felt this bad back in the day.
But yeah, it all felt normal. Same with like playing on a very small like screen, like having the window would be tiny, and I never had an issue with it.
Right.
And now I'll see streamers doing it, and I was like, I don't know how they play. And I feel like I'm in the outlier here, but I see a lot of people playing with the smaller screen to make it easier to click. And I was like, I don't know how people can enjoy playing on that. Do you play on a?
I don't relate.
You don't play on the small screen?
Nah, I have a 21 by 9 monitor, and I just put two games up next to each other on the same monitor, and I play
Oh
it in full
shit.
screen, so that way I could see them a little better. And then my other
Yeah.
monitor is just videos, like
Nice.
movies or YouTube.
Yeah, same. They're making the draw distance a little bit, allowing you to zoom out a little bit more, and you'll be able to see more of the map. Now, what I'm waiting on, are we gonna see this in this update? I don't think so. But the skybox is what I'm really looking forward to
Oh yeah,
at some
that'd be
point.
nice.
Yeah, not just a black abyss that is overshadowing the world of Gillinor.
Right. Maybe they're just gonna try to make the distance so far that you just don't complain about it. It's always nighttime, but it's bright.
Next is some minimap improvements. They will be allowing you to zoom in and out of your minimap, so you can kind of, the picture they're showing here is Lumbridge. You can zoom right in to just see the courtyard on your minimap, or you can zoom out and see a larger area of Lumbridge. And of course, you can minimize the world map if you don't want to see any of it instead. All right, next is the tile indicators. They're going to be having what they're showing here is 3 different colored tiles, which will show you they have a blue which marks your current position. Green will be your target tile, and then of course the red will be what your mouse is hovering over. I kind of hope they allow you to change the colors of these, but it kind of allows you to get a better visual. The thing is, when you're doing like PVM stuff, like your placement matters. It's so important, like knowing where you are and where you're going.
Right, exactly where you click.
Yeah, so I think they're doing this to make this a little bit more, not seamless, but a little bit more accurate, I guess.
Right, and try to make it more fair too for the people using regular clients versus RuneLite and the other one. I can't even remember what's.
Was it OS Buddy?
Oh,
Is that
OS
it?
Buddy. Yeah, it's been long enough. Finally,
Was it Conduit? Was another one that got shut
that's
down,
what
I
I heard
guess, or
of.
maybe they shut down. I don't know what happened with that one.
I think was that a PvP one? I think.
I think that one was used originally. It was really good at for rating. Next, they are going to be adding a little, they call this the buff bar ammo display. So you'll be able to see how much ammo you have equipped on your screen without having to go to the equipment tab. So the example they're showing is that when somebody is holding their blowpipe, it will show them exactly how many darts they have loaded into it right on the screen. And then when you take it off, if you have bolts in your ammo slot, it will show that instead. And on top of that, they're also going to be giving a stat boost timer for when you're using potions to know what level your skills are at from the boost and when they will be degrading.
Very nice. Something we finally are getting after so long. Well, I mean, some things that people who play on the Steam client are finally getting, I should say.
Yeah, exactly. They're able to test it out. But I'm just, again, like you said, this matters a lot when going on to mobile. I find that RuneLite is kind of like, what's the word? It's the ignorance is bliss kind of thing where I'd probably have no issues playing on mobile, but because I have all of these plugins and tools at my disposal on RuneLite, it makes me kind of,
It's like, when you get home, you'll be happy.
yeah, it's kind of like, you know what? I'll just not play RuneScape. I'll just wait till I'm on RuneLite, and then I'll play other games on my phone instead. Whereas when I play RuneScape 3 a little bit, it's the two clients are fairly similar, and I find that I don't feel this. I don't play RuneScape 3 on my phone and be like, I need to wait till I get to home to do some certain stuff.
That's very nice. That's the goal. That's what it should be.
Yeah, those are some of the major features coming to the client. This is the second milestone. I believe they have, I think originally it was 4. Correct me if I'm wrong, or someone maybe can correct me if I'm wrong, but there was like 4 milestones that they might be working towards. Anywho, they're about halfway there, and I guess they're going to be introducing all milestones into the vanilla game all at once.
Very exciting.
Oh, it is. All right. We're going to move on to the big, juicy bits of this week's dev blogs. And that is the Tomb of a Masket raid rewards. So these are all the equipment pieces that they will be proposing for this new raid that's kind of coming out. And I gotta say, all looks pretty sweet. I haven't seen too many complaints. I feel like they've done a pretty good job on the first proposal. Usually it takes them a few, so this is nice to see.
Yeah, I'm almost surprised that I haven't seen anyone actively complaining about these, not because of the content of them, but just because everyone loves to complain about stuff on the Reddit.
Yeah, I know, right? It feels weird, but hey, I'm all for it. That just
Oh
means
yeah.
that um their head is in the right direction. So, what is the tombs of Amasket? Well, let's get into some lore. So long ago, the citizens of the Caridian desert lived prosperous and luxurious lives thanks to the benevolence of the gods of the Menethite pantheon. However, that all changed when Masket, the goddess of rebirth, was corrupted. Warped into the devourer, she became intent on devouring every soul in existence. Her brother Icthlerin, along with her former high priestess, have since been fighting tirelessly against Amasket in a bid to negate her destructive efforts. After years of plotting, Amasket has has finally find a way. Well, that is a typo.
Yep, I see
After
that.
after years of plotting, Amasket has finally found a way to overcome the efforts of Icthlerin and his allies. Deep within the desert, an ancient pharaoh called Asmumton lies buried. His tomb has long hidden a great power. It is this great power with that Amasket seeks, and if she can lay her hands on it, she'll become unstoppable. You must take the fight to Amasket before it is too late. So, what is this raid? Here's a quick breakdown. You can have groups of up to 8 participants, and there'll be 4 initial challenges, followed by 2 final bosses to be fought in a twin boss encounter.
Huh.
Oh, sounds neat, eh?
That does sound neat. That's
Uh,
different.
yeah. Invocations will allow for customizable difficulty, which will also impact your loot potential. Invocations will replace standard difficulty systems like the ones used in other raids. Basically, the more players you have, the more it scales up. Or maybe actually no. I think that let me take that back. I think what they mean is like the whole challenge mode and hard mode.
Right. Well, I think they removed scaling. They probably removed scaling and the different modes because since you can select your own difficulty, it doesn't matter how difficult it is per amount of person. However, I'm sure the amount of people will affect your loot based off your difficulty.
You might be right, but also I think maybe they do mean like it will still scale with your group size.
Maybe, but since you can select your own difficulty, you could just like select a lower difficulty, and then the system might be a little funky. I feel like it'll just probably have whatever difficulty you set and make it that hard. But like if you set it to the easiest with 2 people, you'd probably have better rewards to the easiest with 8 people. Though maybe they'll throw some more special effects probably like on like Tob where there's like the falling meat. Like maybe there'd be more falling meat.
Yeah, because right now with Theater of Blood, you kind of just change the option from normal mode to hard mode.
Right.
Chambers of Xeric, kind of the same way from normal mode to challenge mode. And it seems like this could either be in relation to the scaling, or it could be in relation to like, okay, we're not going to have a hard mode. You'll just have invocations that you can select to make it harder, which will increase your loot potential. We'll have to see how they do it. I just hope it doesn't become like Chambers of Xeric, where Chambers of Xeric is like kind of randomized. There's like a bunch of different types of rooms, and then you go in and you get a random assortment of it. But you can see it's predetermined, right? There's patterns, so you can see that okay, this raid's gonna have these rooms, and it turned into this thing where you scout your raids trying to find specific layouts because you're like, I don't want to do this one; it's too hard and it's not worth it. I hope this doesn't have it where it's like, oh, everyone's just doing this invocation setup because it's
Right. I think they wanted to get rid of that, but we'll see how it's implemented.
yeah, we will have to see how it's implemented. Anyways, it says these invocations will affect the health, defense, or damage modifiers for the enemies within the raid. Other invocations might impose group restrictions, like reducing the amount you can heal or prohibiting certain spells. We intend to be quite creative with these modifiers. The above examples are fairly simple and safe, with the intention to provide early insight into the impact of this blog, but we'd like to experiment with different ideas that might drastically change things. That's cool. I like the way that they're kind of going with this. I think I mentioned it before, but I think it's cool that they're going. Each raid is like a very different format than the previous released raids.
Right. People are so like ready for a new raid, and it's nice that it seems like it will be like a genuine new raid instead of like some half recycled content.
Like looking at World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy XIV, they have the game is all built around end game rating, and they release like a bunch of raids every single year. But generally speaking, the format of the raid is, kind of similar. There's a formula that the raids kind of follow, and if you do enough of them, you're like, okay, they might be different in certain ways or have different types of bosses, but generally speaking, it's kind of there's like a formula that they follow, and it's cool to see that so far with RuneScape. It looks like with the fourth raid, whenever that comes out, it will continue to be different than the other 3 that were released, and raids 5 will be different than the other 4 that were released. They're yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
I wonder how that'll turn out, because it's the same thing with leagues too, where they keep making it more and more a little different.
Yeah,
but you're gonna run out of ideas, I feel.
that's what we're worried about. But I think it depends on like how out there they can do it. There's looking at like music, like bands. How many bands like stick to this? The music is the same.
That's a good point.
AC/DC has been releasing the same type of music their whole career. You know what I mean? It's all
right.
I was listening to a podcast once that talked like there is like, no, maybe it was a radio show, but there was like 27 songs that AC/DC ever released that's about rock and roll and how great rock and roll is.
Yep.
So some, that like just like games will fall in. Okay, they know it works and they keep doing it. Where there's also other artists and bands that like every album is like crazy different. Like it's still good, but it's like really different. And you I think especially the team continues to grow, you'll have different ideas, which will allow you to come up with new, unique ways to do leagues. The worry is that like 2 years from now, we're doing, all right, we're going to go back and do leagues, but on Zaya. You're locked on Zaya again.
Yeah, I did like that though, but
I think if they do it right, they could continue to come up with new ideas as long as they are willing to take risks and really think out of the box. That's the tough one. For the longest time, RuneScape was always like everything was the same. Like every boss came out was like very similar than the last one. Everything was very simple.
Yeah, they've always been pretty limited too, just because of their tick system and their engine. But now they're updating the engine for Raids 3, which means they'll be probably down to update it more and more. I mean, they're updating it for the Steam client features as well.
Yeah,
that's right. I mean, maybe Leagues 4 could be something we would never expect or think of, just because it's not something possible right now.
Yeah, there's a lot they can do, but anyways, for this one, I am pumped with this whole invocations and how you're gonna have 2 final bosses you have to fight, and there is they have a bunch of different bosses, so you'll have 2 bosses that'll pair up, and you might just get stomped. So here's the so they mentioned that there will be 4 initial challenges, so a little bit more into what that means. When you enter the tombs of Amasket, you will encounter 4 paths. The upper level of the tomb will consist of 4 paths, each ending in a boss. Each path will be comprised of its own series of challenges to overcome. These challenges are more akin to puzzles rather than killing a single entity like a boss. These can range from things like traps with sepulcher-like dodging, where you have to dodge shit shooting at you, or whatever it is, or defeating new foes in unconventional ways. Once you reach the end of a path, you'll then fight the boss of that path in a more conventional combat encounter. The raid will then be altered in some way with the death of each boss, changing the remaining boss encounters. This means that the path order you choose will actually matter. So that's cool. You could choose, there could be one boss that like hits really hard, and if you do the invocation that increases his damage, it might be like, great, it's gonna one-shot all of us.
All right.
That's cool. I'm down for that. And then defeat the 4 bosses. Once you've defeated the 4 bosses, you then descend into the lower levels. So once you defeat the first 4 bosses, you'll unlock the lower level, where you'll encounter the 2 ancient guardians of the tomb. These guardians need to be fought at the same time, and defeat the guardians to drive Amasket from the tomb and claim your rewards.
That's cool.
So they said we'll discuss the rewards a bit later, but let's first how you might access the tomb of Amasket. So anyways, initial thoughts on this format.
Sounds good. So the 2 boss fights at the end will be the new Ulm for Raids 3. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it sounds like well, what do they said at the beginning, right? It says followed by 2 final bosses to be fought in twin boss encounters. Okay, so the final boss, it might be the same 2 bosses every time. I thought maybe it was going to be like randomized depending on what paths you defeated the bosses.
That'd be interesting.
You know what? Like, I think it's hard to say, and I think this is all still in concept, but this is their idea. I think they are purposely vague with some of the descriptions because they're still trying to figure out which way they want to go with it.
Yeah, probably. That makes sense.
Yeah. I remember with Theater of Blood at RuneFest, they pitched one of their ideas for a room was, you have your team of 5 people together and there's a key somebody needs to pick up.
Oh, like a designated tank.
Yeah, the designated tank, and they lose their run energy, so now they have to walk, and everyone else has to protect them from all the monsters that were going to fight them. That sounds pretty cool, but we never saw that. We never saw that at all. Even in the dev blogs, that was never ever pitched after RuneFest. So
I think they might have worked off that, and instead of that, they probably replaced that with the room where you have one guy that like makes a path, and then everyone has to follow it.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that could be it. Yeah, we might see. They're definitely going to be fleshing it out, and we'll get some sneak peeks. It's a double-headed. Was it a double-headed sword, double-sided sword? It's a double-edged sword. That's
yes.
Where we know what the raid is going to be, but on the downside is, well, actually, I take that back. I take that back. I was going to say we'll know what to expect from the raid. I actually don't know if that'll be true because Theater of Blood, nobody knew what to expect from Theater of Blood.
Yep.
If I remember watching it, and it was still this is what I'm so excited for. I'm gonna be excited to try it, but I'm even more excited to watch the streamers do it because that it becomes like a race for the first completion. And with Theater of Blood, it took days, or at least
that'll be exciting.
More than one day. Yeah, it's fun, and I've never watched more Twitch in my life, and I'm not much of a binge Twitch watcher, but here I am watching it 12 hours a day over my weekend to see who's going to complete it first.
Right. And then we'll be waiting for Wooks to solo it.
Yeah, and then that happens. Yeah, until there's a lot of players that are starting to match his ability, and
yeah.
Anyways, it'll be exciting to watch.
He's starting to seem a little more mortal.
yeah, he's a human just like us. All right, so how will you access this new raid? Well, it's going to be their most narratively driven raid yet, and no narrative is complete without a quest, which I'm super pumped for. So this is going to be called Beneath Cursed Sands. So now we're going to get into a little bit of the lore. So, when Sophanim was beset by a series of plagues, the gates to the golden city of Menaphos quickly closed. The city has been locked down ever since, with no one allowed to leave or enter. However, rumors have escaped of strange happenings inside Menaphos, and there are stories of citizens mysteriously disappearing. These odd happenings need to be investigated, but few are willing to do so. Mesa, a spy from Al-Qarid, has grown tired of inaction. She's determined to solve this mystery herself, but she won't be able to do it alone. Bum, bum, bum. So this is a new raid, or new quest that's coming out. How do you feel about this raid being locked behind a quest?
I don't mind it. It's always nice to get a new quest. It's interesting that it's locked behind it. I know that there's one Iron Man that I follow who's a no quest Iron Man. He's like Youngsa, so yeah, that sucks for him. But he's still got plenty of content to do.
Yeah, that's true.
We're gonna get 15,000 agility XP at least on the way to the raid. So
that's right. Yeah, personally, I am excited for this because I do like the idea of like, you need to complete quests in order to unlock this raid. I know people won't like that, but it makes the raid feel more special. You know what I mean?
Right.
It makes it feel a little bit more of a big deal. So that's gonna be
looks like it's a master level quest too.
Yeah, let's get into the nitty gritty of it. It is going to be a sequel to the quest Contact. You'll be finding yourself investigating mysterious disappearances of Menaphos, the city of gold. Note, though, Menaphos will not be opening its gates just yet, but they will be fleshing out the desert section on the map. The quest will still, the city will still be held off. It's going to be a master level quest, which I think the tier above it is Grandmaster, right?
Yes, those are the 2-hour quests usually.
Right, and that's the highest level of quest, right?
Yeah,
Grandmaster?
Yeah, that's your Dragon Slayer 2, Monkey Madness 2, Song of the Elves.
Right. Okay, so this is a master level quest. But upon completion, as you mentioned, what everyone's excited for, 15,000 agility experience.
Oh yeah.
We'll take that.
And I guess there's like a raid or something you unlock.
Apparently, yeah. And the ability to upgrade the Karis to the Karis Partisan. I want to make sure I gotta make sure I'm pronouncing that properly, or I'm not gonna hear the end of it.
Karis sounds right. The Partisan is a new
Partisan
thing to everyone, so no one should know yet that you're pronouncing it wrong if you were. Yeah, the Karis is something you unlock from Contact, and it sounds like it has a cool feature where you like crack open a Cal fight, and I think you do more damage after that. I think it's like a Dragon Warhammer almost, but like I think it's like that because I know once it like hits the special, which you don't need a special attack, it's just like it procs when it wants to. It's supposed to weaken the Cal fight, I'm pretty sure. So it's been kind of on par with like the Wolfbane dagger, where it's like it does something cool, but it's useless.
Right.
But with this update, it should be something cool. Probably something you take the Cal fight and the raid, and then you leave it in your bank forever.
Well, actually, it does have some cool stuff. So yeah, let's get into let's quickly read the lore of this Karis Partisan here. So yeah, this is upon helping to redacted blank during the Beneath the Cursed Sands quest. Oh, this isn't actually any lore at all. Never mind. This is just saying you'll be rewarded this after the quest itself.
A little bit of weapon lore.
In addition to it being a stab attack, having stab attack styles, it will also have a crushed attack style as well, which should prove useful during the Tome of Masket and against other beetle-like enemies, like the Calphite Queen. This requires 80 attack to use, which is nice. I get excited to see almost like a new tier of weapons, I guess, tier 80, starting to be more fleshed out and being a thing, right?
Yeah, they're finally bleeding into the tier 80s. And that's why I think it's interesting that it's from a quest that is going to be most people's first tier 80 that they get instead of having to like actually buy or earn it. Something I just noticed though, that's pretty something you want to look into probably. It says that the spear will have a crush attack style, which will be useful during the Tombs of a Masket, which probably means it's time to invest in crush weapons again.
Oh,
when Nightmare came out, the bludgeon was 50 mil for like a couple hours. It's still pretty high, so it might be worth it to invest, unless the spear is going to be so good that it won't be worth using other crush weapons.
Yeah, because then you're just going to get it right from the quest itself. That's a good point. That is a good point. I guess it remains to be determined. I guess beetles are weak to crush. That makes sense. And of course, having a scarab like boss in the raid would make total sense to me. But they say here, and this is where things get kind of exciting. So they want to try something different with this weapon. The Partisan has a socket in which players can insert special jewels into, and these jewels are obtained as rare rewards from the raid itself. Inserting these jewels into the Partisan will bestow different effects onto the weapon. You'll only be able to use one jewel at a time, and these jewels will not be tradable. Of course, as an Iron Man, nothing's tradable, so it doesn't matter. But I get excited when I see these untradables on a main account, just because having untradable grinds are kind of fun on as a main.
Yeah, you get that something of an Iron Man myself meme going.
yeah, exactly. And it's it just gives you a goal to work towards that's not directly let's get more money, you know. That's always nice to see. So that's very, very cool. So we're still considering how we'd like to reward players with these jewels. They could be unlocked as a random drop, or given upon a certain number of raid completions, or as a reward for killing bosses using specific methods. We're also considering whether they should be permanent one-time unlocks or if they should have charges. Naturally, this would affect the rarity of the drops, but we'd love to hear your thoughts or how these should be implemented. Initially, how would you? I guess before hearing that they're trying to figure out the drops, how would you expect these gems to be obtained and kind of work in game?
I kind of just expected like an RNG drop. I don't think it'll be raid completions, especially if they're considering having charges. Unless it's like every 10 raids you get a jewel, which just seems kind of weird, and it's very, very boostable, I'd assume.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. I don't like the idea of having raid completions. I like raid completions. It suddenly turns into a numbers game, even though people do this with like RNG drops. But like, I hate going to like, I go to do I don't know. My first thought is Mahogany Homes, where you can grind out points for certain things, or the golden tench from aerial fishing.
Oh yeah,
where it's all like Although those are based on that doesn't actually I should take that back, but it gets broken down into like an hourly thing where it's like spend 5 hours and you can unlock the jewel because raids take this long to complete.
Right. It's
You, you
like
need
Mage Training Arena.
Yeah, and it's very like static, and you're just like I don't know. It removes the fun a little bit when you suddenly are like hitting a timer, being like, okay, I only have 3 more hours to do this.
Right. It sounds like you'd be doing the equivalent of tutorial skipping too if it was raids completions, because you would just go on the easiest settings, grind out all your gems, and then do the hard.
Yeah.
And then if there's charges, you'd have to constantly be grinding lower tiers to get your jewels, assuming that the spear is very necessary. But it just doesn't sound like something that they'd want to go with. If it was RNG based, they could just make it so that the easier raids you're less likely, harder raids you'll probably get a nice jewel.
So before we talk more about the jewels themselves, let's talk more about the jewels themselves. But talk about how good these jewels could be, and then we'll talk about what we think how these should be introduced into the game. So here's a few buffs that they're considering from the jewels itself. Note that the effects apply only during the raid itself. These will not apply outside of the raid. Just interesting. Not sure how I feel about that.
All right. Yeah.
So the first one's the Eye of the Corruptor. This adds a damage over time effect to attacked enemies, kind of like poison. You won't be able to stack this effect multiple times onto a single NPC, but you will be able to apply it to multiple NPCs at one time. So it's kind of like a poison or a venom. Different, I guess.
It'll be a new color splat for your damage, probably. Maybe like a grayish color.
The next is the Jewel of the Sun. Applies a debuff to attacked NPCs, which causes them to take higher damage for sustained period of time. It's interesting.
Just increases your max hit on the NPC. I wonder if that is for everyone in the raid. So if you give them the Jewel of the Sun, so that way they take higher damage, will your teammate be able to do the same without using the jewel?
I would hope so, because then you can kind of coordinate who has what, and I like the idea of playing different roles. So that's kind of cool. And then they have another idea that they're pitching called the Breach of the Scarab. And this will add 33% accuracy buff against Calphite scarabs and beetles outside of the raid.
Right, so it's pretty much just for Calphite Queen. Because I don't know what else you need a little bit of accuracy for.
Like I would imagine you would equip the jewel, and then that's how your spear would act for the when you have it equipped. Yeah, these are interesting ideas, and I love the idea of having sockets into weapons. We see this with Diablo 3 and Path of Exile. I don't know if have you played those games before?
No, I haven't. I mostly just play FPS games.
Well, I know that one of was it Mod Arcane mentioned that this raid is heavily inspired by Path of Exile, which is a lot of things have been taken from not a lot of things, but I think Leagues was also inspired by that, which great, find inspiration wherever you can. And
right.
I love new ideas like that. So yeah, they are heavily into socketing armor with gems to increase its stats or give you perks. So it's kind of cool that they're playing with this idea. Personally, I kind of like the idea of this being an RNG drop that you can get within the raid. Now, I don't know how I feel with it being charges.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, and it's less about complaining about charges being a thing in the game, but if it has charges, it's going to be less rare to get. They're going to be more common.
Yeah, it would have to be.
I love the idea of these jewels being something really excited to get when you're doing the raid as like a bonus reward,
Yeah, some will probably be like a dex, some will probably be like a forgot the augury. It'll probably be like some of them will be great, some of them will just be a face palm, and they're untradeable too, so they'll just take up bank space.
But I think what the idea would be is you coordinate with your group, maybe who's bringing what. Okay, I'm going to bring my staff or my spear. I'm going to bring this jewel. You bring, Strosity. I'm going to bring the jewel of the corruption. You're going to bring the jewel of the sun. Oh, I got scrolled up. I don't want to go back. Whatever. You bring your jewel. I bring my jewel. We'll coordinate. We'll make sure we can maximize our damage using that. That's a cool idea, I think. So anyways, we'll have to see again. I don't think we're actually going to see those three ideas that they pitched. The way they even just worded it.
Right, it's not verbatim. Yeah.
Yeah, and the way they worded it didn't seem like they had a whole lot of confidence. So I think they're kind of like, this is a concept. We're gonna have much better ideas on the next dev blog. So
All right.
we'll have to wait
Exactly.
and see. Now, let's move on to the first set of gear, and this is called the Missouri equipment. The Missouri were a clan of powerful ranged users. We got some lore to cover. So, the Missouri were a clan of powerful ranged users active during an ancient war which embroiled much of the Caridian forces. They focused primarily on defending ordinary people from violent thieves and murderers who sought to take advantage of the chaos caused by the war. The group has been long since disbanded, but their equipment can still be found among the palaces of wealthy Menephites, or among the treasures of long dead pharaohs. So before we get into the Missouri equipment, we'd like to introduce a new status effect called low life. So a player is considered to be low life when you have below 40% of your maxed hit points. Very interesting. So I like how they have that. It's interesting that they say below 40% of your max hit points and not like below 40 health.
Oh yeah, so it's just in case you're not max HP. Because I guess
Yeah.
if you had 40 HP, you would just equip this and always have the effect.
Right. This equipment is going to consist of a chest plate, chain skirt, and amulet to require 80 ranged and 20 defense.
That's the highest requirement for an amulet.
20 defense seems a little bit strange, but look at this. They're opening it up to a new style of pure.
I think it's funny though that there's an amulet with a defense requirement now.
The armor set will be the very first pieces of equipment in the game to utilize low life. So when the set effect provides additional accuracy and range strength for as long as you remain in low life. And the amulet shares this effect, but it also has an additional passive effect where when you're not influenced by low life, you'll start to take damage equivalent to 50% of your current hit points at a rate of every 3 game cycles. So basically, if you want to wear this armor and you do want to sit in low life as long as possible, so you'll equip this amulet that will help keep you at 40% HP. So looking at the chest plate and the chain skirt, it gives you it's basically the equivalent of black D-hide with worse defense stats. So it's like so the attack stats are black D-hide until you're at low life, and when you are, it becomes best in slot, better than Armadillo. Which is interesting. And the Missouri amulet is very similar, but it also gives you melee strength. So let me pull up some amulets here.
The defense is really, really low. It looks like it's on par with like less than iron plate body.
Right. Maybe for the pures out. That's why it takes 20 defense. Another thing that's interesting is that this amulet, it is great for range, but it's also very good for melee.
It is best in slot, yeah.
It will be best in slot in melee when you have low life. It is basically as strong as a glory, a little bit weaker. But when you are at low life, it'll be better than a torture amulet for melee as well.
Jeez, yeah. As +2 over the torture and actually every stat except prayer.
Yeah, no prayer.
Yeah, no prayer. Torture has 2 prayer.
So it's very, very interesting.
Get that 1 max hit at the cost of all of your HP and damage, or not HP and defense.
So I guess the idea is if you're learning content, this is probably not the gear to take because you will die easily.
Yes.
But when you've mastered content, you bring it and you will be able to just shred, but I mean, really mastered. You take, 40 damage. There's not many things. This is what Arcane said. There's not many things in the game that will do more than 40 damage unless you make a mistake.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, most damage that you protect against that still damages you will be under 40%. So that's that's interesting. Very interesting.
It is. I was comparing the Missouri amulet to the Anguish, and it has 2 more range strength on just the amulet. But once you have all of the armor together, it's an extra 8 over the Anguish. The armor providing an extra 6 altogether.
So that'll be a big buff. That's over double of what an English will do.
It's cool. And I like that they're taking this new approach of it like, Armadillo will still be useful,
Right.
but if you can utilize the low life effect of this will bring a whole new skill, right? You can the best players are ones who can play at 40 health and not have to worry about just getting stomped. So it's almost like raising the skill ceiling of this game. I'm all for that.
Right. Although this would be extremely overpowered for just like casual Slayer, where you're not even getting hit at all. I mean, whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah, if you can afford it and you still need to grind Slayer, I guess go for it.
It'll probably be really pricey.
The amulet itself, I think, is going to be the big ticket item out of the three.
I think so, yeah.
But that's not all of the rewards. We got a few more to go through. The next one is the Heka of Tumakin and the Ward of Elidinus. I have no idea. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
That's a hard one. Google Translate. What's going on?
No, they're not gonna know. I gotta wait for them to say it more often on stream. But they say Tumakin was the god of sun and Elidinus was the goddess of fertility. As husband and wife, they led the Menophyte pantheon. While Tumakin and Elidinus steered the people of the Caridian desert spiritually, it was the responsibility of the human pharaoh to rule the desert. Osmumten was the last pharaoh to rule before the end of the ancient war. Osmumten fought alongside Tumakin against enemy forces. Tumakin sacrificed himself to end the war, and before Elidinus disappeared to mourn the loss of her family, she gifted Osmumten with Tumakin's Heke, and her own broken ward. Anytime I have to read like a chunk in this game, I'm like, fuck, here we go.
Yeah, and especially these that have all the new made-up words.
Yeah,
it's impossible to smoothly read without like reading it 3 times in advance.
Yeah, especially when it's based in like another culture, which is like really Egyptian focused, I have no idea how phonetically these would make sense. But hey, whatever. The Heka of Tumakin. Is Heka even a word? I gotta look this up.
Slang for hella.
Oh, it's a god.
Huh. I noticed Elidinus is in RS3 on the RS3 wiki.
Oh, Heka is a god, the cannibal pharaoh, and devours other gods to gain magical powers. So this was a actual Egyptian god. So they're taking just a little bit of this. Anyways, the Heka of Tumakin is a wand-like magical weapon. Equipping the Heka will require 84 magic. So again, we're seeing the bar for new equipment requirements being raised a little bit here. It has built-in spells with charges which will need replenished using 1 soul rune and 3 chaos runes. And the Heka has an attack rate of 2 ticks, and every 4th hit, the Heka will fire a strong attack which deals significantly more damage, but has a longer delay. So we know that this weapon will with faster attack speeds. We know that weapons with faster attack speeds scale much harder with additional bonuses. This is the problem we saw with the toxic blowpipe. But to offset this and to help make the Heka scale more similarly to magical weapons, the standard faster attacks will only benefit from 50% of your magical strength. The slower 4th hit will be much stronger, benefiting from 150% of your strength.
Jeez. That's cool.
Yeah, its attacks range will be shorter than other staffs as well, with it being 6 rather than 7. So yeah, there it is. Thoughts on that?
I haven't had a chance to try it out in beta. I probably won't, honestly, just because I never know what I want to do. But it's cool that they're trying something new. And also, I like that it's 84 magic requirement, although it's a weird number. How many people? I wonder if that's a combat level between 84 and 85.
I don't know, but I also think they're worried about like doing it to 85 because 85 is like another almost like milestone in terms of tier. I think they're really trying to drag it out. Below. Yeah, they're trying really hard to drag out the path to 99.
I believe it.
So by the 50 years from now, we'll still be at like tier 90.
We'll be at like 89.
Yeah. We're slowly getting there. But yeah, I think it's a cool idea. I like that it operates a little bit different than the Trident and the Sang Staff. I've tried it myself, and maybe I'm just garbage at this game, but I noticed that it wasn't as strong as I thought it was. I tried it against Zulrah, and I found it was kind of cool, but I think it's one of those things where you need to learn to utilize it properly.
Right.
Kind of like the blowpipe, where the blowpipe is great, but if you don't know how to utilize every tick of, any
Right,
chance
move
you
and
can
shoot.
attack. Yeah, if you're not moving and shooting properly, then you're missing a lot of damage with your toxic blowpipe.
Right. You almost might as well use a crossbow at that point.
Yeah, which
But
is a
you
lot
do
more
need to-
forgiving.
Yeah. You do need to learn, though. It's all about
Yeah.
learning. You fail to learn.
Yeah, exactly. So I think this staff might be similar. Like it's something that you're gonna learn how to like use it properly. Like maybe you're move and walk, shoot, and then you have your big shot that you hold it off to really. I have no idea. There's gonna be some technique with it, I think. So it's a cool idea. I hope they can balance it properly to make it actually useful.
We'll see.
But hey, that's not the only part of their little magical set here. They have the Ward of Illidinis. This will be the new best in slot magical shield. You will get a broken ward as a reward from the raid. This will require 90 prayer and 90 smithing to combine with a arcane sigil and 10,000 soul runes to repair the ward. Player with those stats can also take it to Abbot Langley for 20 mil GP instead if you don't have the levels. But equipping the ward will require 80 magic, 80 defense, 80 prayer. But the broken ward will be tradable, while the fixed ward will not be. You can dismantle the ward to recover the sigil, and the ward, but the runes will be lost. So there's a little sync there, and this will have a 5% damage increase to your magic spells. It will have the same stats as the arcane sigil. So this is literally just a overall buff. It even has a more prayer. Everything about it. So the arcane sigil will be like the downgraded version of this. You have no reason to have both a sigil and a ward of Illidinis. As an iron, if you get the arcane, you don't need to grind out two arcanes. It looks like you just get the one, and then you can just upgrade it. So
Yeah, no need.
that's nice to see. I was a little hesitant on them having yet another item that you have to combine with another item that seems completely unlinked. Like Corp and this raid don't seem anywhere.
It's totally different. I mean, Corp's gray at least.
Yeah. It's a full-on upgrade. The next item, this is a pretty interesting one. This is called the Light Bearer. So here we go, having to pronounce some other words, but let's do it. Amek was a powerful warrior who sought to capitalize on the chaos caused by the end of the ancient war. Amek crafted a powerful ring which he imbued with the unstable energy left behind from Tumakin's sacrifice. He hoped to use this ring to emerge as a new power in the region. By forcibly uniting thieves and mercenaries under his command, he planned to overthrow Osmoton. His plans proved fruitless, however, when the ring was stolen and he was murdered in his sleep. The Menethite guards claimed the ring from the body of the murderous thief and dutifully presented it to the pharaoh. So this is a new ring called the Light Bearer. It bears no attack, defense, or other bonuses. It has no stats whatsoever. However, it has a unique effect when you equipped it, where your special energy will regenerate 2 times faster. And unequipping the ring will cause the timer to reset.
I thought of one use for this, actually. You're not going to want to give this up for your Berserker ring, most likely. And I don't know how many people want it to take up a slot. But there's this one thing you can do in PvP where it takes 105 special attack and it's like a nightmare hit for 55 and then a G-Maul for 50 of your special attack. And you do this by timing it by having your special attack at 95. And then when it's about full, you do your nightmare special, and then it goes up to 55.
What do you mean nightmare special?
The nightmare staff, sorry.
Okay, I gotcha.
So, in a nightmare zone where you're flicking your hit point regen and it resets, you could do the same thing here with your special at 95. You can put the ring on, take it off, and that way you don't have to like DDS spec to fix and then wait the full minute to get your special attack back up to 95.
Mm-hmm.
That's one way PvPers will actually use this ring.
It's a cool idea, and I know I tried it a little bit, and it did feel noticeable, the little bit that I tried in the beta worlds, but I think, this would be used in God Wars, I think. You'd bring it in between you kill them all, and sometimes you have like 30 to 40 seconds of downtime. Throw the ring on, and every 15 seconds you get, was it 10% with this ring?
Yeah, because it's 30 seconds for 10% normally.
Okay, so yeah, you get 15, so you'll be able to regenerate 30 seconds in between deaths, which I think will help, just regenerate your special in between if you want to get another Dragon Warhammer spec off or whatever it is. They mention here that, if you're woodcutting, fishing, or mining,
Oh yeah,
have it equipped, you could just, use your the tools to spec more often.
yeah. You could always be boosted this time, or with this.
I think there's gonna be like ways, like maybe in raids, not Theater of Blood necessarily, because you do get your special energy regenerated after every kill, anyways. But Chambers of Zarek, maybe you'll throw this ring on as you're running into the next room. We'll figure out more uses for it. I think when we can figure out like, you gotta sacrifice a slot to bring it, right? So there's gonna be some uses where it kind of fits and others where it doesn't. But let's move on to the final reward in this dev blog here. And this is Osmoten's Kopesh. Known to his people as Osmoten the Hunter, he was renowned for bringing down many of the land's deadliest beasts. During his hunt, he wore armor and weapons crafted by the region's finest artisans. One such weapon was his Kopesh. Though based on traditional Caridian design, Osmoten's Kopesh was modified to give it a long and sharp end to make it more versatile than other weapons of its kind. The Kopesh would eventually be buried with Osmoten himself. So this is a new weapon that will be a stab-based melee weapon, and it will boast accuracy compared to the Elder Maul, but an attack speed of 5. Equipping the Kopesh will require 82 attack, and we expect the damage per second output to be comparable to the rapier tier weapons on an opponent with lower defense, but with much greater damage per second output on opponents with higher defense. So the way this is going to be is that it will be, its max hit will be less, but it will have a more accurate style of attacking. So instead of rolling between 0 and 15, hey, Dills from the future here, stepping in real quickly. I've been sick as a dog this week, so I made a little mistake. It's not 0 to 15, it's 0 to 60. Jesus Christ. I had to make that quick correction. Okay. Pastels is going to take over. The attack rolls might roll between 9 and 51 instead. So it'd be more consistent than other weapons.
Is that a guaranteed hit? Or I think what that means is that if you hit, when you normally land a hit, you have a chance of rolling a 0, which is why increasing your max hit does increase your accuracy in a way.
It's weird.
Maybe just instead of that 0, the minimum's 9. Either that or it's always accurate. I think some people interpreted it that way, but that's probably not the case. Yeah,
I think it's so that it removes the chance to hit 0 when you do actually hit. So it's really confusing. So right now, when you're hitting zeros, you can never tell if it's being blocked or if you're just hitting damage, but it's rolling 0.
Right, unless you're using magic. Magic's the one thing, because you'll splash instead.
Right,
I'm pretty sure.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Interesting. So with magic, how you can actually hit a 0,
right,
or splash,
or their health doesn't show up, and that's when you actually miss.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, this all looks pretty cool. I'm excited for this one as well. Now people are complaining the style choice, because a Kopesh is typically kind of it's more akin to like an axe weapon, and it's weird for it to be a stab-based. It's like a stab-based attack styles, but they added this has been modified as a way to like counter it. And I wonder why they don't just go with a different type of weapon and not the having a slash bonus. But hey, I guess that's nitpicking if you wanted to.
Right. I guess anything that I guess the idea would just be that it's another option. I don't think there's many weapons that only have one attack style. I can't think of any, but most of them always have that one other option that just has less accuracy.
Yeah, unless it's like a blunt weapon. I think most blunt weapons just have crush.
Oh, yeah.
So, anyways, there's the rewards for the new raid. There's plenty of options there, and they all seem to be doing. I think it's a very strong first pitch What are your thoughts overall with the this new equipment lineup?
It's really exciting. All of the equipment is has something interesting going on with it. It's not like most of the other raids where it's just
Yeah.
you get something that's really good and cool. It has high stats. Like these will have high stats and then also have something special to it. So it's nice that they're being creative, like extra creative.
Yeah, same. And I think that's the move. It's we don't necessarily want all these niches being filled of like does more damage against demons and does more damage against
Yeah.
beetles, which is, I mean, okay, but it's cooler to have these perks where it's like does more damage when you're below 40% health. It has a trade-off.
Right. I was worried they go too far with that, where like everything is only good on Calphite Queen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's lazy a bit, and it also you get stuck in another corner of like, okay, now I have this weapon for demons, this weapon against beasts, this weapon against I don't know, whatever.
Right. We're gonna get like a sword taped to a stick and have that for giants only.
Yeah, the Giant's Bane, the Giant Slayer weapon. So yeah, and I'm sure we'll get that one day for free to play or something. But yeah, there we go.
That'd be interesting.
They could do it. I always thought that they were gonna bring out a free to play raid or dungeon one day that's giant based.
That'd be cool.
I could see them bringing in fire giants into free to play. It's the only giant that's not there right now, but.
Right. I wouldn't be surprised if they did like some sort of mini raid for free to play, because that'd be a great way to get new people into the game.
I think we're gonna see that one day with the new. We got the first boss introduced some odd years ago. Now we have two bosses in free to play, and I'm sure we'll see an ice giant boss at some point.
Yeah, we have that whole new location now. For below ice
shamans. Yeah, we got so much stuff to work with. So anyways, this raid in itself, though, I'm super excited, and I'm pretty pumped to see like how these designs will look. I think it's gonna be really cool to see maybe their next iterations, what these gems more fleshed out with. But I think they're on a good track with this release.
Me too. It's exciting.
Awesome stuff.
What's going on?
All right. So with that being said, we'll take a quick break, and we're gonna come back afterwards and wrap this show up. Woo! All right, we are taking that break and heading over to that grand exchange to talk about some of the ways you can indeed support the show if you so want to. We appreciate all the support we get. Seriously, it's been amazing. I think I say that every single episode. Is it starting to get old yet? I hope not. I just feel weird not saying it. So if you want to be a supporter of the show, you go to patreon.com/TheWildernessPodcast. We got some fun stuff there. We do a weekly live stream. Well, when Jaggeds does their Q&As, we kind of sit down, we watch it together. So the audio format of that is available. So that's something you enjoy. That's available on Patreon. You also get early access to whenever we do those OSRS rambles. I've been wanting to get back into those. There's been there's only been a few of them done. But when they do happen, it will be available on Patreon first. So that's patreon.com/TheWildernessPodcast. And I want to thank Mr. Juicy, BTW, and our top tier supporters, Gentanu, Splimo, Dreadful Monkeys, Mateo Was, Sejuan, Mallard, Twisted Soul, Hoyt, Strosity. You still get your super duper shout out, even though we've been chatting this whole episode. But hey, if you're listening, thank you for the support. But hey, if Patreon's not your thing, but you still want to support the show, you can head over to buymeacoffee.com/dills, where you can buy me a coffee. So thank you to Caradoc, Issacol World, 2JZ, and Forced Murder for keeping me caffeinated this week. All right, guys, short and sweet. This was a doozy. This was a big ol' episode, and there's still more to cover. We'll have another one firing out on the weekend. So let's get back into it and wrap this bad boy up. Thanks again, everybody. Okay, guys, we are back. Strosity, man, I appreciate you hopping on this recording. We have some emails, and I really wanted to hop in on the emails with you. But you know what? I'm actually sort of sick. And it just feels like it's that time to wrap it up. So work. Anyways, point is we've gone a little bit longer. We got so caught up talking about these new items, but yeah, we'll save it for another day. But I gotta do some housekeeping before we get on out of here. So if you guys want to hang out in game, we have a friends chat called Wild CC, but we also have a clan called Wild. It's a whole wonky system, but somebody can get you in there if you wanted to join that. We have a skill of the week thing that we have going on. We got bingo coming up. There's a whole bunch of fun stuff happening. Our Twitter is at TheWildernessRS. Our email is TheWildernessPodcast@gmail.com. And of course, our Discord is found in the show notes or the description of this episode, but it's also found on Twitter as well. I stream sometimes. I've been streaming myself failing at Fasani's Nightmare, so if that sounds fun to watch, if you want to watch just hours of me getting obliterated, go to twitch.tv/dills. Strosity, do you have anything you want to shout out?
No, I don't have anything.
No? Are you a prolific Twitterer?
I don't really do Twitter much. I have some CS:GO clips on YouTube if anyone wants to look at them.
Yeah. What is it?
Well, I'm Strosity on YouTube.
Strosity on YouTube. There it is. There it is.
Feel free to look at what I got. I don't really work on much special though.
Yeah. Thanks again for hopping on. Our song of the week, I think, would be so fitting is to have this coming from the Contact quest called Beetlejuice.
Nice.
Yeah, it is unlocked in the Battle of the Giant Scarab during the Contact quest. After the quest, the Depths will play in this area instead. Maybe that's next week's song. Yeah, came out 2007. So that is all for me. I guess we'll see you guys later. Thanks again, Mr. Strosity. Super duper awesome shout out. Until the next time.
Bye.